So, you would not believe it, but I don't know if people have been asking you this week, Wooly. But if you have taken a look at your chat during your streams or this stream's chat, you would notice that every time you talk about watching something, like 10 people show up to ask you if you've watched Arcane.
Yes.
It is the single most common question I have gotten over the past, 10 days.
In fact, last week, someone every 15 minutes, 10 to 15 minutes on the interval would send a direct message bumping to make sure that they were seen, asking if Arcane was watched.
Yep. So before I start to talk about Arcane, I would like to talk about the evil elephant in the room, which we'll get to in more detail later when we talk about Mr. Kodak's week. Arcane is a TV show on the Netflix made by a production company whose name I can't remember, in association with Riot, about League of Legends characters. We've been talking a lot about how Activision Blizzard lately is basically pure evil, and their CEO is, we're going to have more news about that later. We've talked about how EA is evil. You know what? There's a lot of evil companies that make video game crap. A lot of sex abuse, a lot of working abuse, etc. And when I sat down to watch Arcane, and particularly after I had seen earlier in the day the gameplay demonstration of Project L by the Cannons, also in association with Riot.
Well, Project L is based on the Runeterra universe, by the way. So
they're all based on the Runeterra universe. That's the name of the universe.
Oh, okay. Because I was surprised to see that as opposed to League of Legends, because I was like, wait,
that's their way to distance themselves from their own big property.
Because when you say the Runeterra universe, you're picking the card game, so why would you pick the card game instead of the big thing?
No, they're talking about the background and the stories and not the toxic shithole that you stopped playing a couple years ago.
Okay. So Yomi is part of the Fantasy Strike universe.
There you go.
Yomi is the card game. Fantasy Strike is the original. Yep, got it. Okay.
So, in Riot's case, in particular, people that are implicated in the Blizzard abuse have gone over to Riot and have worked on Runeterra, for example, the card game. In talking about watching Arcane and running ads for Arcane and doing streams about the other League game that came out this week called Ruined King, it's inevitable that I would have to actually talk about the fact that I'm covering stuff, or we're talking about stuff that is run by scumbags. And I was sitting there watching people who were playing the King of Fighters 14 beta that weekend 15. Say that they weren't going to play Project L because the people who work at Project L are directly supporting sex abusers. To which my brain does the mental connection of, but King of Fighters supports murderers. To then I go, well, at least there's DNF
15?
and Guilty Gear. Sorry, 15? It's 15. Sorry, King of Fighters 15. There's DNF and Guilty Gear and whatnot, except they capitulate to the Chinese erasure of Taiwan and the cover-up of the Muslim genocide in that country. And then I'm like, oh, right. It's everybody. Enough knowledge of wrongdoing has hit critical mass for every business that if we were to, there's no ethical consumption under capitalism, yada yada. But no, seriously, even on a micro level of do you want to play a fighting game? Well, there's the three I just mentioned. Plus, Melty Blood is associated with Ono. Plus, 5, Capcom just caught plagiarizing artists on their texture work for a bunch of their games, Resident Evil 4.
Literally everything.
It's everybody.
Some bullshit at some point. Yeah. And
then I fell down the rabbit hole where I think it was a longtime friend of the show, on a watcher and subscriber, a guy named Spider-Man, sent me the chart of shit Nestle owns.
The chocolate company?
No, the everything company.
The everything company. Okay.
And like, I wish it had happened to me, because it would have been such a perfect example. I wish I had talked about Arcane on social media and then had somebody ask me how I could watch that when it's associated with a company run by abusers, and them have like an Iron Man avatar or something. Because Marvel's owned by Disney, which is its own a fucking anti-Semitic fucking slavery goddamn conglomerate.
Which Gigantocorp rabbit hole do you want to dive down as you're coming from one and yelling about the other? Okay, I see what you're saying.
And I was talking to a friend of mine where we were talking about Project L and about stuff like that, and the personal distinction that they made was that the Project L team, the Cannons and their guys, as far as they know, currently are cool, but they work with Riot, and that level of abstraction is too close, whereas SNK is cool, but they're only partially tangentially owned by a murderer, and then that distance is... Now, that's everyone's own particular like choice to make.
And more to talk about that in a minute.
But there's no line.
Yes.
In particular, my favorite example when I was talking about this on social media was somebody said, that's why I only support indie games. And luckily, you could just play Skull...
Right, and so and when we were looking at the Project L footage, right after we looked at King of Fighters, I'll add, and more to discuss on that a little later. When that came up and Reggie was like, "Oh yeah, Riot's doing good stuff. Like, I have faith that they're gonna make this a good game," And I was like, "Well, more like Radiant, right? More like the guys that made Rising Thunder, but if you want to get, even then, if you want to get super like specific, like even if you want to zoom into that level, where they invented GGPO and all these great things, you can also go, yeah, but they were working with Mr. Wizard back with the whole Evo ownership thing, and that obviously on its own level had its issues on that small scale as well. So it really is everything. That the impression I'm getting from what you're trying to say here is that it's about everything.
It's inescapable, and the lines are muddy, and everyone has to draw their own thing. And the reason why I bring this up so strongly about Arcane is that I saw a comment that really rang out to me, which is the reason why Activision Blizzard is so easy to dump on now compared to Riot, which is, I'm going to say, guilty of all the same things, allegedly, even though some of the people involved are the same. Is that, one, Riot's been under constant federal and state litigation for 5 years and has made no changes.
Sorry, just to continue building that thing, because that build can keep going forever, right? Yeah. And this was one hell of a fucking week for that.
Oh yeah.
Right, you're talking about everything. You're talking about all these companies. You're talking about like SNK, like everyththing. And this is also in the exact same 7-day period in which now we have TikTok.
Yeah, we are on TikTok now. Check it out.
So
that's the TikTok. I got a guy that's smarter than me at TikTok to run that thing because I don't know how to put the captions on the thing.
Well, let's be real. Like the same person is just doing all of those.
Yeah, you want to know how this happened? Well, it was like, God damn it, TikTok's fucking the thing. And I went... And then I made a TikTok super fast as soon as I saw that post.
As soon as I tweeted out, like, God damn it. And then the next thing was, like, LOL Lamau.
And then I was like, hey, well, it was specifically, hey, can you retweet my video? I didn't work very hard on it.
Yeah.
And you went, what? And then you went, oh, you have one? Ugh. And then you contacted the guy who was already running the CSB fan account and just turned it into the CSB account.
Yep.
And then I was like, can that guy do it for me too? And you were like, yeah, here's the info.
Sure can. Anyway, so but just to you know, completely fill that nut before you crack it open.
Oh, the U.S. government's been spying on every foreign citizen for years.
Certainly, but does their camera app add to one that helps identify Uyghurs as they check in on a weekly basis?
Yeah, probably. They probably all do.
I don't know.
Yeah.
It's, you know, so which is also a bit of like when people are going, oh, old boomer, old man yells at cloud, and it's like, yeah, it's a little different.
Woolie and I were, by the way,
I'm a boomer that got pushed onto social media
in a circle of maybe 150 people that we knew, the dead last people to get Facebook. And the reason why we didn't get Facebook is that we were uncomfortable with all of our information being up on Facebook. And we only got it once stuff started passing us by because people started to use it exclusively.
I told the story many times. My friends started making events and not telling me when and where they were happening. And they said, make your account and you'll get the invite to know when we're going to watch the movie or whatever. And it was literally my own, like they pushed it into being.
I missed out on like 2 parties in a movie because I didn't
hang out because they're like, no, we're not going to tell you, you know? And every other social media platform has been like, yeah, this kind of reluctance, which people often go like, you know, for someone that has a career that is based on social media and internet and like being present, like you sure do like fucking kryptonite yourself everywhere by not being on top of these things. And I you know, I sleep in bed at night with my eyes open sometimes thinking about how I don't do everything I can to maximize all of that because I don't want to, and that makes me bad at the thing, and that's why I'm unable to, you know, grow in the ways that I could or whatever. Like, trust me, I know, I'm well aware. You can't criticize me any harder than I criticize myself. But all this to say that, like, with all of these platforms that I got pushed onto late and reluctantly, like, I feel as if that was always a big, that's a big boomer cloud mentality. This one, there's other shit going on that's a little different, you know? Yeah. But yeah, the whole thing this week has been abysmal for that. Sorry, you're going to go on about Arcane, but I want to talk about SNK right after that.
Okay, so I have seen a sentiment that is accurate, accusing people. I've retweeted. I think it's called a soy jack. Is that the meme the kids
soy
use?
Jack face, yeah.
Where it is sexual harassment at Blizzard, and it's the grumpy man, and then it's successful show and sexual harassment at Riot, and it's the
oh yeah, okay.
And that actually like legitimately gets to the root of it. It's very easy for everyone to feel high and mighty and shit all over how evil Activision Blizzard is, and say that they're boycotting their products because they're not making anything anybody wants. You get to see, you get to see the absolute direct line because Riot is making products that everybody wants and is just as bad.
Okay.
And has been just as bad for just as long.
It's the old Blizzard boycott of there's nothing Blizzard is actively making I want to play right now, so boycott them.
Yeah.
Type of thing. Yeah.
It's so easy to boycott things you weren't going to buy anyway.
Yep. It's funny how like literally given another like we could this has come up before, but it's like also we're currently broadcasting on Twitch, which is owned by Amazon, which is owned by Bezos. You know, like there's
if you work at an Amazon factory, you fucking do everything you can to get your union going, buddy. I support you.
John Deere did it. The John Deere employees got some fucking.
Do you know why the John Deere employees got their shit so fast?
Because they collectively all got it. No. Is it because is it because they called in people that were supposed to do the job and then they all failed?
Because 1 hour into the scab work, 2 ambulances had to be called to the John Deere main factory. There's no such thing as unskilled labor. You call in just they were, you know who they called in to scab for the factory guys? Dudes from the accounting departments, like office workers.
Wow. Okay, I didn't know that.
And within hours there were back to back ambulances going in. Like, guess what? You can't just replace factory workers that work with dangerous equipment like that.
So right in the middle,
they die, and then you got to pay them workman's comp.
Right in the middle of Dark Souls, message came in going, "Hey, Woolie, I work at Amazon, and I just made my first piss bottle.
Nah,
congratulations!" And I was just like, oh, Anyway, yes. So within that,
the reason I bring all this up is that, hey, guess what? Here's another one for your moral quagmire. Arcane's fantastic.
I assume so. It wouldn't have been that heavily recommended if it wasn't. I have to assume.
I watched the first episode of Arcane, and like, I cannot overstate this enough. The artists and animators who worked on this are so talented that I would be watching this show if it was the most boring thing in the world, just to see it.
Now, is it the same people that have been making the music videos?
I don't know. I want to say yes.
Okay, because those things have been, and the backstory videos I've seen of the characters have been unbelievably pretty and well executed.
Yes,
so I would believe that it would be the same people. They've been incredible, like every single one of them. There's just nothing else to say. It's some of the best animation work currently popping off. Yeah, I believe it. Which is why every 10 minutes Arcane guy is probably like, no, but really, every 10 minutes, though, have you seen it yet?
Also,
okay.
How long do you think Arcane episodes are?
Half an hour?
They're 46-minute episodes.
Jesus. Netflix.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what's going on. I don't know what's going on with that. But yeah, no, I'm gonna watch the rest of it.
How much did you watch?
The first episode.
Okay. I keep getting Vi and Jinx mixed up, but I saw a clip of one of them fighting.
Vi is the redhead. Jinx is the blue head.
Anyway, I saw a clip of one of them fighting.
Wait, what? Do you not know red and blue anymore also?
No, I do, but it's the rest of the design that's kind of not clear, because I'm like, I'm... but Vi is holding the big weapon, right? And Vi's the puncher.
Yeah.
Right, yeah.
Vi stands for violence.
Right. Jinx is the one with the big rock. Yeah, okay, got it. Right. It's there's colors, but it's like the rest of the design
literally
is
red and blue. I
know, but it's the rest of it, not just the colors that I also get confused by. It's fine. I haven't seen them enough for them to fully cement in my brain is whatever. Anyway, I saw a pretty fight. That's all I was trying to say.
Yeah. Was it with a girl with a robot arm?
I don't think she had it in that clip.
Okay.
But yeah.
But yeah, no, it's animated. It looks immaculate. It's like, what the fuck? And I mean, I'll give a really short rundown of Ruined King. Ruined King came out this week. Do you even know what that is?
No.
I think that was Project R.
Okay, so there's Valorant, there's L, and then there was the other one.
Yeah, and then there's the other one, which is the Choose Your Own Adventure story thing.
Okay.
Ruined King is. Did you like Battle Chasers? Night War?
Oh,
by Joe Mad?
Oh, yeah.
What if
you
played Battle Chasers?
Yeah.
Like literally just Battle Chasers, but it was Ilaoi and Braum and Misfortune.
How do you say that one? I've said
Ilaoi, apparently.
Ilaoi.
Apparently.
People
Ilaoi,
make fun of
so.
me when I try to say it, so I don't know what to say. Ilaoi. Okay.
And Yasuo's there. Do you like Yasuo? He's the samurai. He's on your team.
Yeah, and I mean, to be fair, the Battle Chasers was already aesthetically close to what League does anyway.
Probably one of the reasons. Like, the Joe Mad artwork just fits really perfectly.
Really, really well.
And I played a couple hours of that, and what a miserable game to stream, because I was really relaxed and chill the whole time and didn't want to say anything. I just wanted to lay back and listen to music and just kind of...
Yep.
It's not exciting. It's just like, yeah.
So that
looks fantastic, plays well. They have a RPG system that's very similar to Battle Chasers Night War, but there's lanes. There's a lane system. You can make things go faster if you go top or go bot.
Interesting. In the single battle.
Yes. It's when you pick a spell, you can make the spell a top lane, a mid lane, or a bottom lane. And that affects its speed and power.
Okay. Yeah, you got to work in the recognizables, sure.
And like all of these things are solid. I play Runeterra to varying degrees of intensity from time to time. Runeterra is a lot of fun. You had some experience with it. And I think the funniest thing about Arcane was I want to say PC Gamer article, which was, hey, you really liked Arcane. Don't play League of Legends.
Oh yeah.
Don't let it trick you.
Okay. But that's But that's what it's trying to do.
No, that's why we're talking about Runeterra now. The world of Runeterra.
So Arcane episodes don't end with a link leading right back to a download now?
In fact, I think the weirdest thing about Riot's expansion into all these genres is that League is by far the shittiest one.
Interesting.
Like, no question.
People seem to like Valorant.
I don't know anything about Valorant.
Dude, if it hasn't already happened or been discussed, we are heading for a place where upon completion of Arcane, you will be emailed direct to your Netflix email address account a link to a promo for tons of free hours in League of Legends, bucks, or free costumes, or whatever the promo would be upon completion of the show. Because why can't we do that? Netflix knows your email address, and this show can fucking do that.
You know what the worst part is? You know what the absolute, like, I was watching Valorant. That's actually part of it. I was watching goddamn fucking Arcane. And Arcane has Victor, Jinx, Singed, Vi, and probably Caitlyn in there as well. And my brain went to, I wonder when they're going to make it. Yeah, it's got Heimerdinger and Echo in there. And I was like, I wonder if Heimerdinger decks are more viable in Runeterra. And it'd be cool if Vi had been in Ruined King. And maybe I should load up.
And then you went.
And
then you looked.
No.
And then it worked. Yep.
And I did not.
You didn't, but you got close.
League. No. You know why I didn't load up League? Because I'd rather play Ruined King, which is their other fucking game.
Okay, well, you played one either way. Yeah, all right.
Yeah, and also, hey, guess what? Vi's going to be in the goddamn Project L.
Yeah, no, you did a riot.
I could tell you the list of that game's roster, like, now.
Well, I threw out my list last time when looking over the footage, and I threw it out a while ago. But to throw it out again, my list was Riven, Udyr, Blitzcrank, Volibear, Vi, Lee Sin, Thresh, Master Yi, and Illaoi.
They're not going to put Thresh, Nautilus, or Blitzcrank in the same game.
Okay.
They're functionally identical.
They
from
just
a
happen
fighting
to,
game perspective.
They just look.
They're
like
they're all hookers.
They look like they belong. Yeah. Okay.
Fiddlesticks would be there.
That's a funny
100%.
name.
He's an evil scarecrow.
Okay. That's a good name for a scarecrow.
Yeah. Yeah, hookers. Why is everybody laughing? They throw a hook out, they grab the hook.
Yeah. Hook character.
They hook them.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like Roadhog.
Roadhog. Hooker.
Or Scorpion.
Hooker.
Yeah, it's a hooker. But yeah, no, the whole thing's a fucking like okay. I'm gonna really, really break it open for people. Like, as somebody who has worked in the games business to some degree over the past while, and so have you, Woolie, right?
A little bit here and there.
You've worked in it more directly.
A solid 20 fucking years of my life.
let's take all the public evil, right? And then there's what I'm going to call functionally assumed evil, where EA hasn't been in the news much lately, but I don't believe that they're not just as guilty as everybody else.
No, they will be.
Right?
They will be.
Right?
Yeah.
And then you have... I know a guy who's willing to tell me shit that I can't confirm about X company it being evil.
Yep.
And that's like a big chunk. That's like a lot of it. And it's
before
like,
any of the Ubi shit was public, people in the
it was public.
People in the Montreal gaming, and other places, offices, gaming circles, all fucking were hyper aware of that, and it was discussed, and it was a thing, Yeah.
And it's like, for my own personal purposes, but also for my professional purposes, and also for all of you at home just wanting to have a decent Saturday evening, you can't play the game of, well, I haven't found anything out about them yet. Because you will. Or you might not know, but it's there. Like, let's take Hades. I'm sure everyone on Hades is a wonderful person. It's a small team. They're anti-crunch, and they make fantastic games over at Supergiant.
Unbelievably
It's about, what,
great.
15 people?
Fantastic games.
One of them might be a cannibal.
In fact, I have my bets.
Oh, yeah?
No.
Right? Like...
Yeah.
You can't... And also,
Yeah.
bluntly, you are probably listening to this on your handheld slave computer.
It goes forever. Pat, it goes... Yeah, no.
You can't.
The point has been hyper-established that it goes forever. And, I mean, the only thing I can say is... it feels as if most people kind of understand this. And... all I can really say is, like, I don't know, for me at least, I feel as if knowing about that, there's still a situation where it's like, well, at best, let's talk about it, right? Mm-hmm. And let's not talk about it. And that's kind of always been my thing. And so that with everything with, like, SNK, which is most... relevant because I looked at KOF 15 this weekend, and because they put out the free demo, and
he's using GGPO,
and it's like what's going on. Well, we'll talk about that in a little second. But it's like the first thing is like, okay, well, what's happening, right? Because I mean, SNK, here's the thing: as a company, they've been Code Mystics has been updating their old games. There's been DLC coming to Sam's show. There's all this stuff, but like KOF 15 is like the center fulcrum piece of the story because it happened to be like the next big game in development that has, and so we were discussing it every time whenever a piece of news came out with that game. I was like, okay, what's happening with the stuff with MBS and Saudi Arabia? And so what I can tell, because there certainly were Well, anyway, there was some people that obviously came in heated, wanting to know things about like, oh, so you're playing the game after all or whatever. And with SNK, what we know is nothing has changed, nothing new has come out, nothing new has been publicly announced, right? So there was the whole story about like what was happening with them in last year, or not last year, but no, yeah, it was 2020. The whole story was basically that they were potentially going to be bought out by a company that was the EGDC, which was owned by Saudi Arabia and by Mohammed bin Salman. And they were looking at buying out and owning the majority of SNK, and thus it would then become their company. It would become his company. The initial thing that happened that started this news story was that originally another company that I think it's like Shanghai based or so, but Lato Millennium owned a solid like 81% or so in shares, and they directly sold 33% to the EGDC, right? So the main thing about that, which was discussed at length, I'd say last year or so, and the main thing people brought up to me was that there's very little SNK can do about that when someone sells shares from one hand straight to the other in that way. But either way, that's what happened. They bought a third of the company, so a third is currently owned. There was talk about them then trying to move to buy more and then take over the company, and then that didn't happen. So as it stands, they currently own a third of the company, and the rest, and then it's still owned by SNK's, original owners. So that's it. That's all we know. The takeover didn't occur. The deal didn't go through, and that's it. That's all we know.
It's the reason why I jump so hard on this, particularly this week, is like, one, this week has been like tons of
unbelievable
stuff and tons of Activision Blizzard.
Yeah.
It's like an obvious
Everywhere.
focal point
everywhere. Yeah.
But for weeks now, as people talk about Arcane specifically, I have seen the absolute like capitalist nightmare that is, I can't believe you people support Riot and Arcane. And then people go, but it's a good show and everybody bad, basically. To which the response is usually, well, none of the games I buy have X people at them, but they never describe the games they're talking about. And I feel like part of that is, if I were to say out loud, I only support Namco Bandai because they don't have criminals, someone will fucking appear to tell me about how 11 years ago they had this massive fucking
horror story
trafficking ring running through their office. Or well, I don't truck with Riot, I only buy Sega games. Right, who are in bed with the Yakuza.
Literally in bed with the Yakuza.
Or I only buy Nintendo games, which have illegally tracked, spied, and intimidated people for decades.
Yeah, literally showing up that dude's house. Yeah, right. The discussion point that comes up a lot too is there's a point where someone will say, well, like, also. Well, and this is coming from the opposite side. They would say, if there's a team of like talented people that like a team of people that are working on something that is good, should they be punished for their work based on, the outside factors of their producers or what's happening in their corporation and their company?
Should all the studios that EA bought suffer because EA owns them now?
So that comes up a bunch, and and that's where I'm like, yeah.
I don't know.
But that's where
I don't know.
But that's where, to me, it's like, well, then just discuss the thing. Don't not discuss the thing. to whatever odds and ends are whatever odds and ends are, make sure that you're at least talking about whatever that thing is, and that's out there, and that it's not being, weirdly quieted and suppressed and stuff. So, if stuff's happening with any of these companies that are making things that we are currently talking about and or enjoying, discuss the thing that's going on, that's going badly with them as well. They're I mean, look, there's
I'm wearing a fucking SNK t-shirt right now that I bought before that happened. Am I supposed to burn this?
Some of the more insane dealings I've had with people recently have been people who have been Woolie is leading the SNK boycott march, and and is just the biggest piece of shit hypocrite, and
it's just and all this stuff, because the money goes to a direct murderer.
And it's I feel like I've been very clear with my words and where my comforts and where my limits are, and I'm always going to want to say, let's discuss whatever's happening with this thing. I didn't tell you what to do with your money. I didn't tell you what to do with what you choose to play. I'm not the person that's going to dictate what you should or shouldn't do, or how you should or shouldn't feel. I'm just going to talk about how I feel.
Not until the halfway mark of this podcast when we take a break.
But I'm just going to talk about how I feel, because this is a this is a podcast about what we want to talk about, and I talk about how I feel uncomfortable about certain topics. But I'm not marching with, what I mean? I'm not doing that. I'm not that person. So specifically two people who were really, really angry about that, because they were ultimately well, I don't care. I'm pro, continuing to support or whatever, but I was just rubbing those people the wrong way there's some insane act outs, which led to, I think this is a good time, to have this conversation about just the level of, how impossible it is to navigate these waters, and how the best I think you can do is, even if it's something that you're interested into or playing or talk or whatever, regularly streaming, talk about the shit that is happening, and don't hide that shit. That's the best I think you can do. If there's better answers, I'm an idiot, and I don't know what else they would be, but that's all I got,
I played Ruin King and watched Arcane, which are made in association with a bunch of sex abusive scumbags. I played some SMT5, which is made by a company that I, on a professional level, despise professionally.
Oh yeah. I had to explain to Punch Mom the dinosaur mentality, which then led to me explaining the insane Johnny's SMAP censorship shit.
I'm playing fucking Halo, which has its own fucking problems. This is run by antitrust king Microsoft. And then I'm playing some FF14 to prep for Endwalker, and I'm come on, Yoshi P, don't be a criminal, please. Just let me have one that's just morally uncomplicated. God damn it.
Maybe the casuals who just recognize the game they like every time it comes out and don't think about anything else or follow game industry news, maybe they were right. Maybe that distance is good. Maybe you just enjoy the thing. I play the annual football and I like it, and that's it. And then I go about my life. They might have a point.
Football leads to death, right?
They might have a point.
You should obviously consume media in a critical fashion, and ignorance is not the answer. And complaining helps, but
now fuck that. Ignorance is the answer. Return to casual. Return to casual. Come, join me. Stop caring about any of this. Stop caring about the horrors and the truth. Seek shelter in ignorance. Return to casual.
The riot stuff in particular, the overwhelming emotion that I get is less like genuine desire for social change and more like, well, I don't like riot anyway, and this will help me feel morally superior as long as we don't dig into this
fuck those people
a little bit more.
Yeah.
It's been a very tiring week for examining my moral stances on consuming media. I think the one that stood out to me is if you try and consume nothing but unproblematic media, you will find yourself drinking rainwater and living in the gutter. And it stuck with me because I'm like, well, why not use why not use tap water? And I'm like, oh right, because municipal services have not always been dealt out egalitarianly across different communities depending on their ethnic makeup. Oh great, yeah, that's right.
Sure didn't.
Right. Okay,
Yeah.
cool. Tap water's out.
Yep.
Got it.
You know what redlining
fuck.
is? You know what gerrymandering is?
I know what redlining is, but there's like 5 different redlinings.
Well, basically, when you have a bunch of neighborhoods with people that you don't want to sell your houses to, you can just, for the most part, just go, yeah, we're not selling to anybody who will, cause. Basically, we don't trust you, and the bank doesn't trust you and your ability to purchase a house.
Yeah.
You're the wrong shade, so no houses for you. And then you can draw draw voting lines alongside some of these divisions, and then in some cases the water might work a little bit better in some places, and it depends on how where the money's coming from, and anyway.